Welcome to Perspective in this media tour of my ePortfolio, a journey through the Master of Education Technology program, or MET, at the University of British Columbia. The ePortfolio is a reflection on my learning journey that features artifacts to illustrate how I encourage communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking in online courses, how I strive to create courses with a balance between content, knowledge construction, and consolidation, and why I value arts-integrated education or a multidisciplinary approach in education. Early in my MET journey, I discovered the value of participating in communities of inquiry, participating in meaningful discourse, and sharing what I'm learning with others. It is with this in mind that I have written in a personal way with the intention of welcoming colleagues and encouraging fellow educators to explore the content within Perspective. My hope is that educators will benefit from the reflections and artifacts I've shared. To aid me in telling my story, I chose the metaphor perspective. Selecting this metaphor was my first challenge in the creation of this ePortfolio. I considered numerous alternatives, but selected perspective as in point of view and as it's defined in visual arts, specifically in atmospheric perspective. I have divided my learning journey into 3 sections, including background, middle ground, and foreground. With perspective as my metaphor, I am constantly reminded to expand my view and take in all 3 grounds together. In this way, my reflections can be compared to creating a 2-dimensional work of art. If I remain directly in front of my canvas from start to finish, I have a perspective focused on detail and separate grounds. I cannot easily recognize the impact of the entire image. It is when I step back, view the work from a distance, and take in all 3 grounds together that I can fully appreciate the relationships between each ground and gain a complete understanding or picture. While it's beneficial for me to carefully examine each ground, it is equally important to keep moving back and analyzing the meaning of the complete picture. With this metaphor in focus, I began with a point of view section in which I provide an overview of my journey, where I started, my major discoveries during MET, and where I am at the end of my explorations. Artifacts in individual courses are included under background, middle ground, and foreground. The final page, Convergence, provides a brief overview of the learning that occurred in each ground before continuing on to describe my optimism and enthusiasm for the direction of education and my plans for participating in the changes that are occurring. Organizing my ePortfolio as I have allows me to describe the learning that occurred at each stage and highlight my focus during each. At the beginning or background stage, I placed emphasis on community and communication in online courses. In middle ground, I continued to explore community and communication, but also focused on creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration, or the 4 C's. And in foreground, I expanded my view to include arts-integrated education, or a multidisciplinary approach to education. I encourage you to view the portfolio from beginning to end. There is an arrow toward the bottom of each page that will direct you through the ePortfolio and allow you to hear the story of my MET journey. Of course, if you prefer to focus on a particular topic, you can jump from page to page by using the 6 main tabs. On the Convergence page, you'll find a concept map that provides a list of courses I attended, the ground they're located under, and which artifacts I've included for each course. To keep content to a manageable amount, I have reflected on 1 or 2 artifacts for each of the 9 courses I attended. On course pages, under the References section, there is an additional artifacts section for those who would like to view a greater range of artifacts. The featured artifacts demonstrate my ability to use technology for teaching and presentation in individual and group projects. From Moodle courses, wikis, websites, videos, and more, I have explored creative options for the creation of lessons, units, and courses, as well as for demonstrating understanding. Of course, there are also examples of scholarly essays and formal writing, which provide examples of the depth of my studies of learning theory, constructivism, justifications for course design, pedagogy, and tool selection. The most significant purpose of my ePortfolio is reflection and synthesis on and of my learning journey. I quickly learned that electing to partake in a full term of reflection on a 2-year journey that began out of a need to create effective online learning environments has at times been uncomfortable. However, there are numerous times when I've stated that the best place to be for learning is out of my comfort zone. I certainly have been stretched while wandering back through my earlier experiences and making connections between courses in background, middle ground, and foreground, and then considering what next. I know that my learning journey is not complete and that it will not be long before I continue an in-depth exploration of multidisciplinary education. As you visit the content in Perspective, I hope you will find value in the artifacts and reflections I've shared.